Happy New Year, noobs! Mr. Frog here. Looking back over the past year, it's hard to believe just how many great games we took a look at on the channel here. It was truly a fantastic year, with several highly anticipated titles finally seeing release. For the past month, many people online have been arguing over who should have won what award, or what should have been Game of the Year, but the real question that should be on everyone's mind is what was the best H Game of the Year? Well, in my opinion, that all comes down to personal taste, but nevertheless, I have gone ahead and compiled a list of what I feel were the best games for 2024. Before we get started, I do want to preface that this list is based purely upon the games that I have played throughout the year. There really were a lot of great games released this year, and I unfortunately was not able to get around to taking a look at all of them, especially at the tail end of December, with a couple of high-profile releases that I still have not had the chance to play as of yet. So with that in mind, let's get started. Starting out at number 5, we have Dungeon Vixens. A game that I myself was very surprised by when it came out, as it wasn't really on my radar, and I didn't know much about it when I picked it up. I was initially intrigued by its unique retro art style and dungeon crawler gameplay, and was not at all disappointed with what I got. The game is a dungeon crawler with minimalistic plot about a man seeking to revive his former wife. It really nails down the retro aesthetic, with tons of great Monster Girl designs as well. In addition to its aesthetics, the game also has a unique and interesting combat system that plays rather similar to a rhythm game where you must carefully time your inputs to both attack and defend. It takes a bit of time to get the hang of, but once you get used to it, it becomes very rewarding and satisfying to succeed at. It's a quick, unique, and fun game for a low price, and best of all, it contains a goblin merchant that you can romance for you short-stack goblin enjoyers out there. Definitely recommend checking this one out for anyone nostalgic for old school dungeon crawlers or anyone who is a big fan of Monster Girls. Next up at number 4, we have Lovey-Dovey Lockdown, a romance visual novel game where you reconnect with an old love interest. It starts out with an admittedly rather absurd and comical premise where you and a former old flame from college are magically sent to a room every day where the only way to leave is to spend time together. While this sounds great on paper, both of you are much older now, and a lot has changed in both of your lives since the days that you were close. To make matters even more complicated, your friend is currently married with a new husband, leading to several conflicting feelings on both sides. As you both discuss the past and try to reconnect, you learn more and more about the reasons that you initially grew distant. It's a very bittersweet and endearing game that quickly becomes much more interesting and thoughtful than its initial silly plot would lead on to be. It is on the shorter side, but it's a great single-day playthrough that I'd highly recommend to anyone who enjoys more narrative-focused games and doesn't mind just a little bit of mild NTR themes. But I know that is a tough sell for some people. At number 3, we have the gruesome and shocking survival game, Mad Island. This is another game that I was pretty skeptical about going in, as I was a bit hesitant about some of the more extreme content in here, but I ended up having a great time with this one. It's a survival game that plays kinda similar to Don't Starve or The Island, where you must scavenge for resources to survive, build, and explore. It's set on a remote island that you and your friends end up stranded on after a boating incident. To make matters even worse, you quickly find out that the island is inhabited by cannibals that kidnap some of your friends. This game holds back no punches and fully runs wild with its cannibal themes, leading to some truly shocking content. It is not a game for the faint of heart at all, but if you can stomach it, it does have some surprisingly solid and intricate gameplay and crafting systems. The game gives you a lot of freedom to build up a large and customized base, with tons of building and decoration options. In addition to the crafting, Mad Island also has a pretty fun combat system with some challenging and exciting boss battles. There is a lot of content in the game, and you can easily spend many hours exploring the large island and uncovering everything it has to offer. If you are at all interested in survival games, and don't mind just a bit of gruesome content, then this one is definitely a must play. Coming in at second place is the massive and cinematic space adventure game, Subverse. While the game has been in early access for quite some time, this year did see the final full release for the game with the conclusion of its main story, as well as tons of other updates. To be honest, I wasn't really following this one very closely over the past few years, and I only played it for the first time after the recent full release. I normally don't play very many Western-style games, but I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed this one. It's a very ambitious game that punches well above its weight with high-quality graphics, fantastic voice acting, and a comical and expansive plot. In the game, you are essentially working with a group of rebels to try and overthrow a corrupt organization called the Veil that has subjected the universe to its puritanical ideals. The game has some more serious moments, but for the most part, keeps a humorous tone throughout that feels more like a parody of Mass Effect or Guardians of the Galaxy. I did have a few minor gripes regarding some of the gameplay that I do think hold it back just slightly from hitting the number 1 spot here, but I overall had a fantastic time with the juvenile and honestly pretty degenerate ride that this game had to offer. It is a bit more pricey than other titles out there, but I do think it justifies its price by providing a high-quality experience rarely seen in this field of gaming. Definitely give this one a shot if you are looking for something more comedy-oriented. And now, for the long-awaited number 1 spot, and Mr. Frog's personal game of the year, we have Summer Clover. Summer Clover is a perfect game for those looking for something a bit more comfortable, or dare I say, cozy game to play. It is essentially a time management visual novel game where you play as an overworked salaryman who is transferred to work as a housekeeper for a group of sisters working as nuns in a small rural town. Now, I know that sounds like a pretty absurd plot, but the game honestly manages to pull it off very well and creates a cute and charming story where you get to become close with and learn more about each of the sisters. In addition to the fantastic art direction and designs, all of the characters are well written, with each girl having their own distinct story path. It has a very slice-of-life simple charm to it that makes it easy to digest, play, and read through with a good mix of humor and endearing moments. In addition to the fantastic visual and illustration work, Summer Clover also has well-written, interesting, and engaging scenes. There are several memorable moments throughout, with a lot of care put into creating impactful moments through more than just visuals alone. It delivers virtually everything one could ask for when looking for a great H game to play, making it my personal Game of the Year for 2024. And with that said, that about sums it up for my favorite games of the year. I know there were plenty of other great games out there that I did likely miss, so please let me know down in the comments any other great contenders not listed here, or what your personal game of the year was. Once again, thank you to everyone for all the support over the past year. I really am very appreciative of all the kind words and encouragement I've received, and I look forward to continuing to further improve the channel throughout this year as well. If you'd like to see more H content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also, if you'd like to see a closer look at any of the games featured in this video, I have linked my full reviews for them down in the description below. Later, noobs!